If you've shared your educator check-in survey but haven't gotten any data yet, and you're excited to see what some dummy data could look like, I'm going to walk you through that in this video. Or if you've collected your data and you need help navigating your report before you've gotten a chance to talk to a KickUp representative, I'm going to help you with that as well. You should have received an email from KickUp prompting you to claim your account. Once you claim your account and verify your email address, your homepage will look something like this. Reminder, clicking here, getting started, will have some tips for collecting data, and also this video will live there as well. But once your data has been collected, you'll have a report that looks just like this. Instead of sample report, it will say your district's name. It'll tell you how many submissions have come in so far, and you'll be able to click View Report or the name of the report to get started. Once you log into the report, it will look very similar to this. It will have the name of the report again up here, how many submissions there were when the last submission was submitted, and you'll be able to click here to view that form that educators used to submit this data to remind yourself what they were looking at and where this information came from. This next line here includes tabs by which the report is organized, and this very first section of text right here walks you through what information you'll find in each tab. On the very first overview tab, you'll be able to see a breakdown of the number of submissions by role, or you can also group it by school. So this is giving you a high-level breakdown of the demographics of who submitted an educator check-in. Toggling over to the second tab here, this is where we're capturing the success with online learning that folks are experiencing. So right here at the top, you have this high-level data widget that's showing you big picture, how satisfied are the educators in your district with the resources that have been provided so far, and how are they adjusting? And again, we're bucketing that into those top two categories of the rubric to which the educators responded. So this 83% is coming from the 5 out of 6 people who responded that they were either satisfied or very satisfied. And again, over here, you have 6 total responses, 4 people saying they're adjusting pretty well. So that's why you have 67% over here. Scrolling down, you have a new data visualization called a heat map, which will provide you at a glance maybe some hot spots or areas of success. This is initially grouped by role, and hovering over the responses, hovering over the box gives you the ability to see how many responses fell into the different rubric categories. So right now you're looking just at role 1. So if this was teachers, you may be able to say how well are teachers specifically adjusting. And we have 2 responding pretty well, 1's having some difficulty. And then overall, you see how satisfied have you been with the resources. You see role 1, very satisfied, with 1 being slightly unsatisfied, and this having a slightly higher average because everyone was either in the satisfied or very satisfied category. And then right here, this very first column, you're seeing the aggregation of all of those responses. You can group this by school to see the same information, and again, you see a hotspot come up here. Maybe folks at this school are not adjusting as well as the people at school 1. Toggling over to the percentage view takes you away from averages and actually shows what percent of people responded in the top 2 categories of that rubric scale. Below here we have another heat map, and this is the larger heat map related to the matrix questions we asked individuals about their levels of success with implementation or what they need help preparing for. Again, it's grouped by role initially. You can change it to group by school and see how people's responses are varying. You can open up each of these larger domains to see what specifically folks were asked and how they responded there. So you can see that overall, assessment and feedback had a 2.3 average, but that's really being dragged down here by these people having difficulty with adjusting instruction based on students' progress and learning. Whereas some of your most successful areas are going to be bucketed down here in the bottom right. So facilitating synchronous student collaboration, you got 100% of people from both roles feeling like this is going very well. If you're interested in learning about what tools specifically people struggled with, you'll want to look at this overall question here, setting up learning systems, where we ask specifically how well it was going when individuals were interacting with the different tools. So for example, Zoom or Google Classroom, and this might be a place where you could deploy supports if individuals at school too are having a lot of difficulty with whatever instrument or tool you're using to facilitate online learning. So those are just some examples of how you can use the heat map to deploy supports and look at big picture trends by school or by role that you collected in this report. Scrolling back up here, we'll toggle over to the next tab. This is where individuals were given some multiple choice questions and open response questions about what they were hoping to prioritize for their own facilitation of online learning and where they were most hoping to gain support from your district. So here you can see that this was a select all that apply question. So that's why you have people responding in perhaps more than one category, but you see 3 people are focusing on the synchronous lessons or facilitating opportunities for student self-assessment. But you might have fewer people who are focusing on setting expectations for grading or collaborating with other teachers. So this is where you can see where folks are hoping to prioritize their professional learning. And here you see specifically who's hoping to get support with any of the tools that your district is using for online learning. And this is the open response widget. So here you're able to take a look at this qualitative data, but you're also able to search the responses for keywords. So here you ask people what their personal priorities were, and you may want to search and find a common thread, and that would help you, add some color to these qualitative responses. Similarly, individuals will be asked what barriers they're facing and how they may need support to overcome those barriers. And then scrolling back up here, you have the last tab, which is where you can look at all of the submissions in a table. This table can be downloaded and manipulated in any other software. You can also search, you can sort. So I might recommend sorting this table by the people who requested a follow-up, and then you can see their email address directly next to that so that you know what exactly you're hoping to follow up with someone about. So for example, I see this person requested support. Here's their email. Here I can see what their priorities are and that they need support with Zoom specifically. And if I click on, well, their names are anonymous by school. So if I click on their school, I can actually see their entire response. So I can see all of what this person specifically responded, including their open response and all of their answers to the matrix questions. One of the most powerful tools of the report is this small little filter button here that follows you everywhere you scroll. It's on every page. And this is a way to take all of the data that you've collected and filter it down to just one attribute or another. So right now we're seeing all 6 responses, but let's say I just want to look at the responses from the educators at school 1. So now you can see I have a filter applied. It shows up here as a small 1. It tells me that I've selected school 1 as my filter. And now I'm only seeing 3 submissions. And I can see that there's a pretty big difference here between the way those numbers looked before versus how they look at school 1 specifically when we're drilled down and filtered there. And all of the widgets in the entire report then get filtered down to that school number 1. So now here we're seeing this heat map grouped by role, but only the people who responded in school 1, and the same here. So the data looks significantly different because we're looking at only school number 1. And every page, every tab of the report, that filter persists through to. So the multiple choice is now filtered to school 1, and you're only seeing responses from individuals from school 1 in the open response widget and on the all submissions table. If at any point you're navigating your report and you come across a question, a roadblock, or something that wasn't answered in this video, you can always access help by clicking this blue button down here that's always floating in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Clicking here will connect you to two ways to find some support. First, you can find an answer yourself by searching for a key term like heat map. This will help you access our suite of help articles that provide screenshots and other guidance to walk you through anything that you might need support with. If you aren't able to find an answer there, you can click New Conversation. This will connect you with a KickUp teammate who can answer your question within a few hours or on the next business day. You can also always reach out to your KickUp teammate who you've been communicating with via email, and they can provide some guidance as well.